My name is Brandon and welcome to or welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you like what you see in here, you're more than welcome to hit the subscribe button so you stay notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, let's get straight on with today's video. Hey everyone and welcome back to Is That More Brandon? So in today's video I'm actually going to be doing a review of the 5th episode of The Apprentice. So as of now we have 13 candidates in the process, but at the end of this episode we either lose 1 or 2. So just to give you a hint, we don't lose all 3 that go back to the boardroom. So yeah, let's have a quick review then. At the beginning of the episode, we found out that the 13 candidates were going to be going to Imperial College London. And Victoria thought straight away that it was going to be something to do with dancing. Simba said potentially something to do with advertising. And Mark admitted that he didn't actually go to college. He said he got a real job. So he kind of went straight into business, which is obviously quite different to maybe some of the other contestants who may have gone through college or university or things like that. In terms of the challenge itself, it was something to do with climate change, the innovation of new technology, and obviously electric motorbikes. So what they had to do in their teams is create a name, create an advert, and create a digital billboard to obviously sell their brand of motorbike and obviously see if the buyers were to buy their brand. So on Team Apex, we obviously had Megan, Mark, Reese, Victoria, Marnie and Sahale. And on Team Infinity, we had Joe, Danny, Rochelle, Avi, Shazia, Bradley and Simba. So it's a team of 6 against a team of 7. So for Team Apex, it was Marnie that took the lead. And for Team Infinity, it was Bradley that took the lead. For Team Apex, Sahale basically said that he actually owns a motorbike himself. Mark said that he's been converting his business bikes to electric vehicles, and Marnie said that she's quite creative and it would be an honour for her to take a lead on the task. So obviously that's why she was picked, due to her creative wisdoms. Bradley said that he knows that these kind of electric bikes are called cafe racers or cafe racers, and he wanted to go with that name for this particular brand, with Joe kind of stepping in to say, I wouldn't understand the name cafe as the name of a brand. And again, some of the others said that they didn't really associate electric bikes with that particular name. So yeah, that name was quickly out of the window. Marnie said to her team that she wanted the bikes to be sexy. And then back on the other team, Brad, Simba and Danny were in charge of billboard and branding. Joe was the sub-team leader. And Shazia again stepped up, like she did in one of the previous challenges. She said that she thought she would be better served doing the kind of logos and advertising and things. So she then became the sub-team leader. Joe and Simba then joined the branding team. Simba, Shazia, Avi and Joe were obviously all discussing the logos and the branding idea. Avi and Joe weren't sure of the bike name, and Shazia said that they needed something that was simple and concise. Avi came up with the name with connotations of electricity, so he was very smart here actually. You needed like a quick name like Pop, whatever, something like that, and also something that was electric. So he thought of the name Zip Zap, and he also thought of the tagline Zip Along in a Zap. So very simple, very straightforward, but it does work. And then with Team Apex, Mark, Marnie and Sahale, they came up with the phrase ride dirty, drive clean. So I think with this particular industry, you don't drive a motorbike, you ride it, you cycle it, you maneuver it, whatever, but you probably wouldn't use the word drive, just because that does have annotations of obviously a car. So that's kind of not a good line for a motorbike company, but I'm guessing that will be discussed about later. And Mark said that he wasn't happy with Marnie's suggestions, with Sahale saying that the end result wouldn't be great. I think she wanted to include like different roads, different symbols, like she didn't want to add too much, but she wanted things that would show that it was a road related company. And then back on Team Infinity, Shazia said that she wanted a motorbike on the logo itself, with Avi telling her to look at logos in real life. So for example, if you have a cereal company, you wouldn't have a bowl of cereal on the logo of the cereal. You can tell from that logo that it's very obviously a particular type of cereal. So yeah, Simba said he was very confused and that the logo wasn't in fact simple. It was kind of, she just wanted to put everything on there. I think she even, for the P's of Zip and Zap, she actually put like flags. So it actually made the P's look like F's. So it ended up looking like Zif Zaf, which if you ask me, sounds like a cleaning product. So Zif Zaf definitely wasn't Zip Zap. And then Shazia said that, yeah, she added a lot of elements, and she added that it doesn't look messy, but actually it does. It looks incredibly messy, and you couldn't even read the words Zip Zap because there was that much going on. Back for Team Infinity, Bradley, Rochelle and Danny, they were having a quick chat, and Rochelle had ideas of a woman being on a motorbike to show equality, and the fact that you can then open up the industry by providing the fact that you can have women involved in that particular industry as well. Danny also agreed with the idea, and they basically said to Bradley, what do you think? I think he was a bit like, yes, like, but then he just went with it, and obviously they ended up having that as their idea. For Team Apex, Reese basically said, how are we supposed to make it look sexy? With Megan saying, we need to have a sexy storyline with like, kind of like a bloke like riding, and then she comes over, and it's almost like a love story, but the focus should be on the motorbike. And then again, Victoria kept saying, make sure the message isn't lost. With Team Infinity, Avi and obviously Shazia, along with the rest of the team, decided to go for Bronwyn, who is an actress. In their little book of contacts, you had people that were actors, actresses, and people that could ride a motorbike. Unfortunately, Bronwyn was just an actress, so it didn't say actress / motorbike rider, it just said actress. So she was obviously there to act, not to actually ride the motorbike. She doesn't have a license. And Shazia basically said that she could ride to a job, or ride to a university, or something like that. And Karen, obviously, in the back of her mind was thinking, well, hang on, she can't actually ride. So the storyline they came up with to ride the bike was never going to actually come to plan, because she didn't even have a license. But that wasn't her fault. That was their fault for not reading what she could and couldn't do. Victoria said to Reese that they need to focus on the motorbike. So I think here it was Reese and Megan who were taking control of the directing. I think Megan's actually in the video as well. And Victoria kept saying that they needed to focus on the motorbike. And I think they basically were like, yeah, but we need to also focus on the storyline. Every time Victoria was getting like shots of the bike, Reese said they needed to focus on the story. And then when Reese was focusing on the story, Victoria said she wanted more shots of the bike. So they were kind of going against each other, but they did kind of manage to get what they needed to get in terms of their content. So they did actually work well together. And then back for Team Infinity, Bradley, Rochelle and Danny were all very disappointed that their other team got an actress who couldn't ride, and Danny luckily managed to come up with a backup idea for Bradley to win a girl over by buying the bike. But instead of having the bike there already in the shop, they thought it'd be a good idea to wheel the bike in, do the scene, wheel the bike out. So yeah, I think Tim or Karen, I'm not sure who, but they basically said it almost seemed like they were doing an advert for the bike and that the bike was broken. I think it was Karen that said that actually. But yeah, it's nice to see Danny being able to come up with straight away, and she did that in the previous task as well. So it's quite interesting to see her on her feet, like, yeah, being spontaneous. Joe obviously spoke to Simba and Shazia, because I think the three of them were going to be directing the advert. I think Shazia said that Joe was going to take the lead on that, but she just kept talking. So whilst he was trying to direct, obviously, and give the different ideas to the actors, I think they actually got Avi involved as well, or they got somebody involved from the sub team. Shazia did continue to talk, and yeah, they kind of were clashing there. Moni, Mark and Suhail were debating whether to add or remove a particular logo from their design. Again, not really happy with Moni's ideas, but all three of them were just coming up with completely different concepts, so that wasn't great from that team's side. With Bradley, he thought that they needed to do more takes of his lines, as he didn't make it sound fun. And yeah, both the girls, every time he was doing his lines, were like, no, Bradley, you have to do it again, add a bit more of emotion, you sound really, like, you know, blunt. And then in terms of the pitch, Shazia was in charge of the logo and the advertising. Before they did the pitch, it's almost like she went against the project manager, and she blamed it on time restraints as to why their logo ended up being what it was. Moni wasn't happy about the advert, but they said that they could work with it. Megan said it was boring, and Reese added that yellow is definitely not a sexy colour. With Danny, Rochelle and Bradley, the acting that Bradley did was quite boring. So I think Danny said here that the less words are used of Bradley, the better. So you can kind of have more music or a voiceover or something like that instead. And Moni basically said that they were advertising an electric bike, and the feedback that they got from the public, it almost seemed like they were doing an advert about cleaning a bike or how to clean a bike. So yeah, that wasn't exactly what they were looking for. With Shazia, nobody mentioned anything about the bike, and people obviously were seeing the words zip zap rather than zip zap. And then yeah, they went off to do their pitches. So yeah, Moni, Suhail and Reese were doing their pitch for Soldier, and then Bradley, Avi and Danny were doing their pitch for Zip Zap. With Soldier, Moni took the lead. One of the chief officers at an agency said that the sense appeal is actually quite cliche, with the guy winning over the girl. The most important thing about being a part of the industry, the fact that you don't use the word drive and you use the word ride or cycle, which is kind of what I said before. The word drive is not associated with the motorcycle industry. And one of the chief executives of the motor industry said that the transport part was lost, and that it kind of looked more like a dating agency advert. So yeah, that was kind of not good. But I think also that's what Victoria kept saying, make sure you get the bike, make sure you get the bike, because they didn't actually get the bike in that video. With Bradley, Avi and Danny doing the pitch, Avi basically, it's almost like he came across as if thinking that the people on the panel were stupid, saying, who knows what an onomatopoeia is? I think he just meant it in just questioning what it is, but obviously zip zap is onomatopoeia because it's words that kind of sound the same, or sounds like, yeah, it sounds like something. So zip zap sounds like a bike, or woof woof sounds like a dog. And yeah, they missed out the best part about using the motorcycles, obviously riding it, and they basically, yeah, they obviously, like I said, they got an actor or actress that wasn't able to ride the bike. They thought it was a dreadful name for the brand, and actually it was quite an interesting part here because Bradley actually said to the team that his initial name for the brand was Caf-E, with one of the directors saying actually that would have been a little bit of a better name because it's kind of more related to the industry. But the fact that he said that almost was if like, I'm not associated with this brand, but this is what I wanted to do, and my team said no. It wasn't very professional that he did that, but I guess it's nice to get good feedback about an idea that you did have and just obviously didn't go with. And they said that the title looks like Zip-Za, not Zip-Zap, because obviously the two P's just look like I said, a logo, like a chessboard looking thing on it. And Shazia basically said that Bradley should at least try and back the product in it when you've got a difficult audience, not just avoiding it and making out that you were not actually associated with it in the first place. And Marnie basically said if they were to blame someone, it would be the advertising team. In the boardroom, Marnie said it was a sexy product for motorheads. They also said that the word soldier meant bold and confident. And Lord Sugar basically said, well, was your aim of the video for someone to fall in love and then steal someone's bike? Obviously that wasn't the aim. And they said that there was no product details. It seemed like a dating advert. And Marnie said that they wouldn't have been sold on the electric part because they didn't actually include much of that in the video. With the other team, Bradley said that he targeted towards the Generation Z target. Shazia assumed all the riders could ride, and Simba said that Joe was supposed to direct, but Shazia took control, with Karen adding that Bradley threw his colleagues under the bus when obviously he spoke about the title that he would have had for that particular task. In the end, we found out that Team Apex won. So Team Apex was obviously led by Marnie, Sahil, Victoria, Reese, Mark and Megan. All 6 of them got through. So although the advert that they had wasn't great and they didn't actually have focus on the bike, their team still won and they still performed really, really well. But in the other team, people were unable to put ideas forward. Simba said that the advert was quite cliche. Danny said she couldn't do their initial idea because obviously they didn't have an actress. Simba said that the fault was on both teams. Obviously, the first team had kind of an actress who didn't ride and that's who they picked. And then the actual filming team itself, the advert just wasn't great because it looked like the bike was broken. And Shazia basically said that the failure was on Bradley, trying to dissociate himself from the product. So I think that's the one thing that you should learn when you go into business, that even if you are part of a group and you're selling a product or a service that you're not interested in, at least make out that you are, because it is a team game at the end of the day. You don't want to seem like someone who's going against their team to try and better themselves. It'll make you look 10 times worse. Bradley said that he was disappointed that nobody went with the name Caf-E, because obviously that was his industry. He knows it might not have been the best name, but he knows it was a lot better than what they ended up going for. The team discussed the idea, and Shazia said that she was happy to work in that particular field, but the logo was an issue, with Simba saying that it was difficult to put points across, because obviously Shazia kept talking. Bradley said coming up with the idea initially with the Caf-E riding, the other team actually wanted to go down a completely different design route and actually, yeah, instead of going with what they had discussed with the project manager in the meeting, they just thought, right, we need to just change everything, change the name, change the logo, change the branding and everything. Avi also said to Shazia, why didn't you speak up? Because obviously he did part of the speech and she said, actually, I could have done that better than you. So she basically, I don't think, could give an answer for that. Bradley said that he nominated Avi to get included within the pitch. It wasn't to lead the pitch, but it almost felt like Avi was leading the pitch. So yeah, Bradley wasn't really happy with that either. In the end, Bradley brought back Shazia and Avi. When Lord Sugar was discussing with Tim and Karen, they obviously discussed the 3 candidates. So they said that Bradley, likes bikes and his ideas were just dismissed by the rest of his team. Shazia obviously admits her mistakes, but she's admitting too many times because she's making too many mistakes. And then with Avi, his pitching style was a little bit awkward, but he did come up with the whole name and tagline of the brand, and that's what the entire team agreed with doing. So it shouldn't just be his fault because the whole team actually went and liked the idea. It was just the fact that the logo was a bit weak and that the advert was a little bit weak as well. Bradley, again, when they came back into the boardroom, said that his idea was completely dismissed by the other team as soon as they had left the building. Shazia said that she was angry with the branding team and also Bradley's negative energy passed through to the rest of the team. Avi disagreed with everything about the branding, and Shazia said that she stood up for her mistakes, which is a good skill to have. And then with Shazia and Avi, they both agreed that they didn't understand the branding or the logo, and yeah, the idea of their zip zap branding. But in the end, Lord Sugar decided that I think Bradley just wasn't listened to. As the project manager, you are supposed to listen to the project manager. He just wasn't listened to. With Avi, like I said, although his pitching style is weird, the entire task was created by him solely on his own. So it was Shazia that was fired, and that left 12 candidates left. So I think she said something along the lines of he made the wrong decision and that she'll obviously prove him wrong and things like that. I just think in that particular task she was weak. I mean, the task before, she also spoke up. This task, she spoke up, but every time she spoke up, she's getting herself in trouble or she's just not listening. But that's why she went. There are now 12 candidates left. So until week 6, thank you very much for watching, and I will be back very, very soon. And until then, thank you and goodbye.